So, what's up, guys? Been asked to give an honest review on the Slingshot. Um, I don't personally own one, but my gym, we have the blue one, the red one, and the black one. Their names, I don't know, so whatever, that's what they are. Um, Let me start by saying, if you're a male, you weigh over 200 pounds, and you don't bench mid 300s or better, don't waste your time on a fucking toy. You need to just bench press more. So leave the boards, bands, chains, etc., slingshots, to the guys who can make use of them. If you're a shitty bench presser right now, you need to focus on your bench press itself. So with that out of the way, I'll start with what the Slingshot is not. It is not a magic plateau breaker. You're not gonna get stuck at 375 pounds and buy a Slingshot and 2 weeks later, after training with a Slingshot, magically bench 405. That is not the case, and I hate that I see it so often on public forums. People are like, oh, I was stuck at 275 and I got a Slingshot, now I can bench 300. If you were stuck at 275, chances are your training was sucking bad, and the Slingshot reinvigorated your training, and your pussy-ass bench press slightly improved due to training more out of excitement. Didn't really have to do with the Slingshot work itself. So it's not that. Can it be a useful tool? Yes. When used correctly. You know, first and foremost, rehab. That's what it was made for. That was its intention. If you are having nagging injuries, having a hard time getting back, it allows you to bench press, you know, while you still have that injury. Takes a lot of pressure off your shoulders and whatnot. So that's probably the biggest selling point to it. If you absolutely could not bench press without one, due to an injury, and that's the only way you could get into bench press work, that is by far and away the best use you're going to get out of it. Now, for those of us who aren't injured, how can we use it? I'll go ahead and start with the one that everybody does, and that's overload. Overload has its place. It is not the be-all, end-all. It is not this great plateau busting thing that everybody thinks it is, but it does have its place. It's not something you need to do every week. Really not something you need to program very often at all, in my opinion. But, you know, when the time comes in proper programming, overloading does have its spot, mainly mentally. You know, say like my last competition where I had cut weight, and I was going in at a lower weight class with the intentions of benching 500 pounds. I would use the black one. I guess the full bore, maybe. The names, I don't remember. But anyway, I would use it and routinely do 525 on my heavy days during my peaking cycle. And there's something to be said for just, you know, holding and handling and controlling a weight higher than what you intend to do. But like I said, it was during my peaking cycle, and it was only on my heavy days after my whatever heavy working set rep was, would I do that. So it ended up being the last 4 weeks, last 5 weeks, I used it twice to overload. In that sense. So yeah, it's not something like I was doing all the time or anything, which I think a lot of people get caught up in. Nobody cares about your Slingshot PR. So yeah, there's the overloading thing. One of the big things I like the most about it is it forces good technique. You know, when you're in the Slingshot and you're using it, It forces your elbows to tuck, and forces you to use a good bar path. I love that about the Slingshot. That's one of my favorite things about it. If at any point, your technique starts to sway, you lose your sweet spot, you forget where your groove is, it happens. Throw on the Slingshot. It forces that good technique, good positioning, all that stuff. I think this will be my last point, which often gets overlooked. I talked about overloading in the sense of heavier weight. I really like that you can overload your triceps, I guess, almost, in the sense that you can do more reps with a given weight. So say the other day I did 405 for 5 sets of 5, and then I did a 6 set with the red Slingshot on, and I got a set of 10 with it. And being that from here to here, the Slingshot kind of does all the work, you really get a good pump in your triceps, because you're doing a lot more reps on bench press with a heavier weight than you could usually do that amount of reps for. And it's basically all triceps because the Slingshot is taking that part out of it, right there. So, good tricep movement on your bench day after you get done with your working bench sets. Throw on a Slingshot, pick a weight, whatever rep range you're intending to do, and you can use a heavier weight than, normal, and you can really fry your triceps just on the bench press. And I've spoke before about accessories and how I love, just variations of a movement. So, Slingshot bench press would be a variation of the bench press to really burn your triceps on it that way. I guess that is it. Yeah. Who should use a Slingshot? People that are pretty advanced in their bench press. Like I said, if you're a male and you weigh 200 pounds or more, you're not benching at least mid-300s. Even at that point, it's kind of you don't need a Slingshot. If you're just starting, you don't need a Slingshot. So, there it is, guys.